Welcome back to the Traders Guild. We're going to be doing another market outlook today. Today is July 2nd, actually, the beginning of the third quarter. So we should see a shift in what's been going on in the markets. And we're not going to be long, right? It's July 4th this week, Independence Day, holiday type action. We just going to recap last week, look at, what we got news-wise, and go ahead and pull up a couple charts, you feel me? So let's get it popping. All right, bet. And everything that's on this video today and everything on this channel is for general information and educational purposes only, right? No investing advice. You want to back test anything for yourself and be able to do your own research, because past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so don't be that guy. All right, don't be that guy or gal. All right, don't be that guy or gal. Now this week coming up, we have, like I said, tomorrow is a Canadian holiday first and foremost, as well as US Independence Day starts early, so we starting that technically bank wise at 1 p.m. tomorrow is what they're giving us. So we got that coming out tomorrow on Monday. We will be seeing some early morning news as far as a lot of these euro pairs. We're gonna have high impact news early in the morning on euro, high impact news on dollar around 10 a.m, 9:45 a.m. So should see them shake up the market just a bit. And then going into Tuesday, pretty much everything is going to be shut down, right? Everything's going to be shut down except for cross pairs. Now, the interesting thing about this week is I might check out my old girl, AUDJPY, right? I might check her out because typically when the dollar tends to like range and stuff like that, it's better for cross pairs. So if we are going to see a little bit of a ranging dollar, we might actually see some of these cross pairs move around, and that might be something. I'm gonna go ahead and check them out. You can see we got AUD news dropping on Tuesday, 12:30 a.m. London session, their interest rate decision, which they planning to raise it. So that's gonna be a volatile event, hopefully a liquidity event, as well as we'll be seeing some JPY news dropping Tuesday night as well. And then of course you see some Euro action, NZD action, but probably only pay attention to AUDJPY going into Tuesday. As far as cross pairs go, we used to have a thing, me and AUDJPY. Now Wednesday we back. Oh, we got FOMC this Wednesday. That's interesting. I didn't see that before. It's not like FOMC where they like release the interest rates, but it's FOMC meeting minutes, right? Never really knew the full definition of that, but why not? Let's dive into it, right? Let's see what they got, what that meeting minutes is like. So meeting minutes are detailed record of the committee's policy setting meetings held about 3 weeks earlier. These minutes offer detailed insights regarding all right, so they just chatting, right? They just chatting. It's kind of like it's like some foreplay, right? It's FOMC foreplay. So they're gonna be doing some FOMC foreplay 2:00 on Wednesday. So we'll see the markets get volatile around 2 p.m, which is outside of my kill zone, but that's going to be interesting to see how that affects the markets and brings in some volatility. But I mean, ideally this week it's not really something. Just think about it. Mondays, I don't really want to trade on Mondays. Tuesday is Independence Day. I'm not really trying to trade anything USD. Wednesday, I'm really the only time really to look for an opportunity that I would like would be Wednesday. And I would want to be out of the market, preferably when this FOMC joint drops. And that's not with, I was just telling y'all, like, I'm trying to do the whole short-term trading thing, but we'll see what Wednesday brings. Again, just like last week, it's going to be just, I'm going to be on the trading floor. I didn't see a lot of y'all on the trading floor this week, but I'm gonna let it slide. But I'm gonna hop on the trading floor. You feel me? If anything presents itself Wednesday morning, then immaculate, right? But going into the end of the week, I'm not the type to, I don't like to be in the markets during FOMC. I don't like to be in the markets during NFP, and I don't like to be in the markets during CPI. I like to come after the bodies drop. You feel me? So FOMC is usually at 2 p.m. So I like to be into the markets probably maybe before FOMC, like in the mornings, and be out when the actual news is dropping. But then when it comes to CPI and NFP, I typically don't want to really be in the markets until at least 10 minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes after the actual release happens, right? Like I said, I like to let the bodies drop, let uninformed money come into the market and kind of get up and out the way by then. So when you look at it, NFP is not till Friday, but they have this new little pre-NFP. I don't remember this being here for my entire trading career, for my short 5-year career, but whatever. They got this little pre-NFP on Thursday, so we'll see what's popping with that. We might get some action in there, but yeah, it's looking like a very, like I said, the narrative for this week is patience and preparation. So we're gonna prepare today, and then we're gonna have a lot of patience, and they're gonna have to show me what I want to see very clearly for me to go ahead and participate with them. And then of course on Friday we'll be seeing NFP release as well as unemployment rate. Remember that right now unemployment rate, US unemployment rate, is at an all-time low, or it hit an all-time low at 3.4%. Not all time, but since 1960 something, which is all my lifetime, right? So I call it all-time lows on unemployment rate, and we're still sitting at a pretty low rate, right? So we did see, it's interesting to see the way that unemployment combines with CPI and FOMC. Once you start to get an idea for how all these different moving parts are going down, you feel me? Because at the end of the day, high inflation, if inflation is, inflation did grow just a little bit, but we're lower than we've been in the last 2 years. So that's good news, right? And at the same time, as inflation being the lowest it's been in the last 2 years, which has been their objective, right, is to lower inflation. But if you understand, their goal is to lower inflation down to 2%, right? And as of the last inflation report, right, that was on June 13th, the US dollar inflation is at 4%. So we're still not below their goal, but like I said, we're at the lowest point we've been since they started raising interest rates. So that should be good news, right? And at the same time, when it comes to at the same time as us being at this lowest inflation level, we're also at the lowest unemployment levels, which don't really make sense, right? If they're raising interest rates, we want less people, unfortunately, to have jobs so that less people are spending money, right? So when this unemployment rate comes out, if the unemployment is still trending lower, that's something to pay attention to as far as our narrative on whether or not they're going to continue to raise interest rates. But me and you both know they're going to continue to raise interest rates. All right. And we'll just leave that there. So that's this week. That's our little news insight for the week. But like I said, we got non-farm payroll on Friday, as well as Canadian unemployment on Friday. So that's going to be interesting. So maybe if we don't see anything throughout the rest of the week, maybe this Friday might be something that offers us something interesting. But at the end of the day, like I said, I think my main eyes, I'm gonna go ahead and check out that AUDJPY. You feel me? So that's what we got popping off this week in terms of the news. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our trading view. And I did go ahead and actually record take notes taken from the meeting. Facts. You feel me? Okay, got you. That's what the meeting minutes is. Yeah, they just be wanting to do anything they can to throw a wrench in the markets. Anything they can do to get an excuse to talk, right? But I did record a market recap from last week's market outlook, so I'm not gonna go too deep into recap today. I will be releasing that on YouTube, or at least to the guild by tonight. It's uploading, but I just can't have it uploading while we're recording because my computer, it gets upset. You get what I'm saying? So we'll have it uploaded by tonight, and I'll probably drop it right before this market outlook releases, at least to the guild, and then maybe to the rest of the world on Wednesday, so that our timing, is on piece. But dollar hit our objectives for the most part. I mean, as you can see by this magnifying glass, we were looking to see dollar go bullish this week, come up from the lows, right? They did trade down back into a discount level, swept the lows at the bottom here. Not last week, but the week before last week, right? And then starting last week, we were chilling right above those lows, and I anticipated to see them sweep into this daily order block, right? And we'll go down to the daily real quick so y'all can see that, right? We were paying attention to this daily order block. I haven't touched my chart. I haven't touched this chart since that analysis. So this selection box is that order block. We saw them trade right into that order block, respect it, right, reject, and go ahead and deliver it from there straight up to that gap, right? And that's what we were paying attention to, was the imbalance in price here. So price has now rebalanced, right? So two things I want to pay attention to. Price has now traded higher and rebalanced up into this gap, right? We're at the beginning of a new month, all right, which is important. All right, that's important for us to pay attention to. The beginning week of a month is similar to a Monday in reference to a week. You see, like, that's the reason I said I'm not really in a rush or pressure to get into opportunities this week, because at the end of the day, it's similar to how I'm not in a rush or pressure to get into opportunities on a Monday, right? Because I want to give the market time to kind of set itself up for what it is that I want to see play out. Similarly, when a month starts, the first week, I kind of want to give the market a little bit of time to set itself up, right? So this is the reason that when you really break down once you look at the amount of Mondays in a month, NFP week, FOMC, CPI, and you really break down out of 30 days how many high probability days we actually have to trade, it really comes down to like 12 or 15. And you probably should write that down if you weren't aware of that already. All right, if you find yourself over trading, just look at that number. That's what I did to myself. All right, once I realized like there's 30 days in a month, but once you take out weekends, CPI, FOMC, Mondays, and NFP, half of NFP week, we're really left with half the month, right? So if you're literally executing every single day, and it's not somehow maybe in your trading plan as maybe you're a scalper or something like that, if you're executing every single day, regardless, you're probably over trading. Just to put that out there, right? Now, with that being said, like I said, as the month is opening, right, we're now at July's open at the same time that the market has traded into a premium of the last 20 days, right? So we traded right up to that 50% of the last month or so, right? That's what my red up here annotates premium, my blue annotates discount, right? Sellers in a premium, buyers in a discount, just like if you was at the mall. All right, so at the end of the day, we saw them go ahead and sweep up into this premium and then give us an engulfing candle down on this daily time frame. Okay, so as much as I am anticipating, I would like to see a bullish dollar. Careful with my words, right? I would like to see a bullish dollar. I am anticipating a bullish dollar, but the market charts don't just go one direction. They go two directions, all right? So given we just had a couple bullish days in a row coming out of this area straight into this premium, I want to be aware. And like I said, it's the beginning of the month, Independence Day this week. We're in an area that they could F a lot of people up. That's what I want you to take from this. Like, if you didn't write notes on nothing else, just write Maverick, Traders Guild, DXY, F people up this week. That's what I got for you. All right, so that's what the dollar went ahead and did off that order block. And then the perfect opportunity and what we were paying attention to was this engulfing move down, right? This massive move down from last week Wednesday. That was the order block essentially, right? I mean, clearly it started right here on the daily, but that right there, that move is what manipulated us down to sweep these lows. So once they came back above that, I'm paying attention to this zone as an area of mitigation, right? At a breaker block, right? And that's where we went ahead and saw them trade down to, respect that and take off from there. All right, so that was our analysis on dollar last week, played out beautifully. We also had an analysis on Euro USD. I didn't execute these trades on Euro. I just had it mapped out. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I was focused on holding my CAD, and like I told Shirley, holding myself accountable to just being a short-term trader. All right, and I was kind of moving around the time of these trades. But at the end of the day, the thing about Euro USD is we did anticipate seeing her come up to this fair value gap and then trade away. However, she didn't respect it. She blew straight through that that fair value gap on Tuesday, okay, and traded up into the one right above. into this imbalance above, which I also had annotated and we were paying attention to. But regardless, once they gave that high, we saw them trade lower, and honestly, this is the point at which this would have been a perfect opportunity for me, just based off of the original fair value gap. You feel me? And just seeing the way that you can see she traded below it when she did Wednesday 9 a.m. Where did she trade right back up to? Right into that fair value gap. Gave a beautiful opportunity, sold off. Right, Thursday 5 a.m. right, going into that 7 a.m. session, guess where she traded right back into? Right back into that fair value gap and traded off. Right, so if your stop loss off this first opportunity here, I think I had it on a lower time frame, but if you had gotten an opportunity here on a short-term basis and your stop loss was where your stop loss should be, and you hadn't went to break even yet, or at least you had hit TP, I mean, let's see, was that 50 pips? No, she didn't go for 50 yet, but if your stop loss was still in its original placement, you wouldn't have got wicked out here, right, on that London session opportunity. And then she went ahead and delivered straight to our objective daily sell side liquidity from last week's low, delivered straight to that, and then what, engulfing candle straight out of the zone back up into the same level. So Euro USD was a good opportunity as well. Like I said, I focused on UCAD, but she was showing out as well. Euro USD showed out as well. The other thing that we was paying attention to last week was UCAD, right? The beautiful lady UCAD. And she played out. I mean, I couldn't have asked for her to act better. You know what I'm saying? Like gold really should learn a thing or two. I know some of y'all in here like gold. My bad. I don't mean to talk about your peoples like that, you feel me? But she be for everybody sometimes. I'm just being honest, all right? She be for everybody sometimes, all right? But UCAD was beautiful. We did see on Sunday when we did last week's market outlook. When we did last week's market outlook, we were anticipating to see UCAD trade down into our daily fair value gap here, right? From pretty much September 13th. Look at that, September 13th. Yeah, from September 13th of last year, we had this beautiful fair value gap, and she traded right into that, as well as from September of last year, this weekly order block that we were identifying, and at the same time it was diverging from the dollar. So we were anticipating a reversal, and this whole thing was a weekly sweep on liquidity here into an area of discount. This just so happened to be our first area of interest, point of interest, right? This was our first area of interest after dropping into this discount, right? So we had this discount area, but there's nothing until this order block. There's no fair value gap. I mean, this is way too small, right? No fair value gap, no liquidity, nothing until this order block. This order block was the first area to pay attention to once they dropped into this discount level. So that's where we were paying attention to, was for them to trade down into that. And our red box down here is the fair value gap. And we can see that, as well as identifying her sweeping under last week's lows, which the order block was right underneath that. And if I go ahead and switch back over to my short-term UCAD chart, and we look at this on a 4-hour time frame, 1-hour time frame, UCAD did go ahead, and on Monday, right, on Monday we saw her sweep these lows, right? But we stay, keep our cool, right? Keep it cool. Don't got to trip, right? So Monday swept the lows here, 3 a.m. London session. She swept under last week's lows. These were last week's lows, right? And then Monday at 7 a.m. swept those lows again, right? Multiple times swept underneath that area. And guess what? Enticed a lot of buyers, right? So buyers came in. So these sellers already got taken out, right? If there were people looking to sell underneath here, they're in their sells, okay? And the market comes back up. Buyers come in. Now they got stop losses underneath here. Tuesday, right? Tuesday, we're paying attention to our bias, which is seeing her continue to trade higher. And Tuesday London session, right, drops down, gives us displacement. Right here was where it was obvious, You feel me? And that would have been something you had to be on the 15-minute time frame to catch that during London session, because she moved very quickly because there was 5 a.m. CAD news. You feel me? So yeah, she dropped down here. London session 3 a.m. spiked up, gave that first opportunity on that trade back, and then the perfect opportunity was right here on this engulfing candle out of the 4-hour time of the hourly order block, which was here. And then she traded right back into that level right there. No drawdown, never came back, right? Stop losses below the low, right? And I would have added 5 pips to that just because I'd be a safe guy, right? So that's a 17 pip stop. And I told you guys, if you looking to hold trades for a few days or so, a good target is 50 pips, right? And that would have been, 50 pips from that level would have gave you 1 to 3 almost, and then 100 pips as my second TP from that London session opportunity on Tuesday would have gave you a 1 to 5, right? Good 1 to 5, right? So that was the London session opportunity. But I know a lot of people who follow the Traders Guild, they are not London session available, right? And so the next opportunity identified came during New York session, of course. And what you would have been paying attention to is the move that brought us underneath last week lows. I mean, it's a very obvious move, right? Look at that. This is the biggest candle on the chart right now. Like, look at everything else on the chart. This is an obvious manipulation of the market, all right, into our weekly order block that we were anticipating. So I'm paying attention to this as mitigation, right? I'm paying attention to this as where once the market trades above this level, they're going to want to come back into this area and mitigate their sells, okay? Because only one group of people took sells, right? That big, all right? And it's the same group of people who brought the market back up, all right? So if the market is trading higher and they sacrifice themselves for these sells, they gonna want to come back real quick and close out themselves, all right? If you was a magician and you can move the markets, you would be doing unruly things, and that's exactly what these folks were doing, right? So coming into Tuesday, right, we have Tuesday 7 a.m. window to 10 a.m. Kill zone right here, and I'll run it back for y'all just real quick. I swear we only gonna be in this thing real quick. We're gonna go to this week's analysis, but at the end of the day, that gray box, you can identify our gray box right there. I'm gonna move this over a little bit, right? Yeah, this is our gray box right here. So coming into Tuesday morning New York session, we knew we had US dollar news at 8 a.m. We had 8:30. We had inflation for CAD. So again, entry would be right here at the top of the box, at the top of the breaker. Stop loss would be underneath the breaker, right? Underneath the gray box. And I'll delete this here so we can just draw it ourselves, right? Boom, entry would be there. Stop loss would be under the breaker. I always add 5 pips to the bottom, especially for long-term opportunities. If I'm not scalping and I'm going like long-term, a couple days type of thing, 1 day, 2 days, I'm going to add 5 pips. You feel me? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from 6 is 11. And I'm going to put my stop loss there. And then the target was 50 pips, right? 50 pips was the target. And that brings us above last Friday's highs, and then 100 pips was the second TP, right, for the week, which brings us above last week's highs in total, right, and into the premium on a higher time frame. And if we watch the way that they respected this level, and the reason that we add those extra 5 pips onto the chart, right, you see first move, right, 8 a.m. that was New York news, and they dropped straight into it. And then we have that 8:15 candle, 8:30, they swept the bottom of the breaker, right? If your stop loss was right underneath this, you would have been sick, right? So 5 pips under, give yourself some space. And then, yeah, from there, she went, oh, hold on. Actually, she gave one more opportunity, right? She did actually give one more opportunity for those of y'all who would have waited till after the news event happened, right? Boom, that next candle at 9:15 a.m. right before indices open, you got another engulfing candle out of the breaker block. So this is another way to trade the breaker, is that you don't have to be the person who is risking it for the biscuit, take it straight off the breaker. This is similar to a liquidity sweep, right? So if they swept, just like how at the bottom in London session, you would wait for them to sweep the liquidity and then give you an engulfing. And then in this engulfing, you would look for your opportunity higher, right? Same thing. If you have a breaker identified, you can wait for them to drop into the breaker and then give you an engulfing. And then once they give you that engulfing, stop loss at the top of the order block. Entry at top of the order block, stop loss below, add 5 pips, right? This is at 53. I'm gonna bring it down to 48, right? And then again, 50 pip TP1, 100 pip TP2, okay? And that would be in 1 to 7 off that entry. And on the 50 pips, that would have been 1 to 4 almost, right? And yeah, that was UCAD. That was all she wrote. Never came back. And hit TP going into Wednesday night. So it didn't hit before the end of, not Wednesday night, into Tuesday night, beginning of Wednesday Sydney session. So your first TP wouldn't have got hit until, going into that night. And this is why I say this isn't one of those day trades. And that's what I'm looking to create, right? If you're somebody who's an entrepreneur, or if you're somebody who's a full-time business professional, you're probably not able to be on the charts every single day, right? And it's opportunities like these where if you did preparation on the weekend, like we do on Market Outlook every single week, you do some preparation on the weekend, and you go ahead and set yourself up for where you're looking for. You come in on Tuesday morning, you come in on Wednesday morning if it doesn't happen on Tuesday morning, or you just set your alerts. Once it comes into the zone, that's when you know you need to pay attention. Look for your engulfing candle out of the area, and then you execute. And this thing went stupid, right? She went for over 100 pips, ended up going for 111, and then reversed. I did see sell opportunities on Friday, but we'll talk about that later. I'll talk about that in the Traders Guild this week. If I don't remember to, y'all remind me on the Q&A session. I'll talk about how this reversal was obvious, but they came above last week's high into a premium, so that was pretty obvious. But that was USDCAD trade of the week. We'll put her on a plaque. And yeah, so let me see if somebody in the chat. Okay, yeah, you know what's going on, right? So that was USDCAD. And let's go ahead and look at what we got, what we looking for, what we anticipate going into this week. So I'm gonna wipe my chart, right? Always wipe my chart. Don't want it to be messy. And I'm gonna go out to the monthly, right? Why are you gonna go out to the monthly, Maverick? Oh my gosh. I remember I used to have people join my webinars and be like, why are you on the monthly? I'd be like, you just don't get it. In my Joker voice, right? In my Keith Ledger voice. You just don't get it, right? We just opened a new monthly candle and we just closed an old one, right? We just closed the monthly candle. So I'm gonna start off on the monthly. I wanna know what in the world is going on, right? So looking at this DXY, it's an interesting season that we got going on. I mean, we are still, like I said, I still want to see bullishness in the market, but the market has been ranging type essence, right, since January. This whole year, like, just look at it. This is this year. This is January. This is February. This is March. This is April. This is May. This is June. Literally, it has not been. So don't beat yourself up if you haven't been catching major pips, okay? If you haven't been catching major pips, this has been a difficult Q1 and Q2 if you don't really know what you're doing. So highly suggest that if you watch these videos, if you watch anybody on YouTube, if you watch anybody period, you should be back testing heavily, especially during a time like this and a season like this. You should be back testing heavily. I know I'm very good at explaining things. There's a lot of great educators and a lot of great teachers out there, but there's no better teacher than experience. And you can multiply your experience by back testing, okay? You can go through like literally 100 weeks back testing. You can't do that live. You gotta literally wait 2 years to go 100 weeks in real life, right? So you wanna back test so that you can see how to navigate stuff like this. But so far, I'm gonna just identify things that stand out to me, right? Things that stand out to me, for one, is the high of the year so far, which was March's high, right? High of the year, March's highs. All right, that stands out to me. Stands out to me that we just had an engulfing candle this month, but I need to see them come up above March's open. That's what I would need to see. Excuse me. to see us trade above March's open, because at this point, this order block is not, it's not enough for me. We already had an order block out of this, you know, because that's where this all started from, was from this low over here, right? You got May of 2022 last year. This was that low, right? And we already traded below that low and got an order block once, and they did not respect the order block. Literally violated it in March, violated in April, traded lower yet again, right? So took the low of the year here, accumulated, and then gave us an order block higher. So that is you know, that's why I'm like, okay, this order block is cute, but we're in a high resistance area, okay? So this is an area where the market could definitely turn around from. But once you get a little deeper in your studies, you start to learn the importance of these wicks right here. All right, I wouldn't be surprised to see them come back down into these wicks right here, also known as rejection blocks. Wouldn't be surprised to see them come back down into there one more time before we do trade higher. All right, I am overall bullish. I do want the market to go bullish. I love the fact that we got this engulfing in May. I love the fact that we traded down to this order block and then traded away from it. But the best order blocks, all right, I'm gonna just be real. The best order blocks, they respect the 50% of the order block. And if you look at this one, they absolutely annihilated the 50% of that order block, right? So even though they respected it, I'm not, you know, putting it past them to attack these wicks, these rejection blocks, right? I'm not putting it past them to do that. So I'm still gonna be patient, right? We're gonna wait for them to give us a little bit more obvious desire to trade higher, and all of that I got off just looking at the monthly chart. All right, if you need more candles to be able to identify a bias, you don't know what you're looking for, man. All right, you don't know what you're looking for. All you need is the open, high, low, and close. All right, and this right here was March's open. All right, March's open. Oh no, my laptop is doing that thing right now. Hold on real quick, let me see. Let's see if I could go ahead and change this to just showing trading view real quick. And let's go ahead and close Brave browser. I promise y'all, I'm finna do a withdrawal this month just to get a MacBook Pro, because it's getting ridiculous how they doing me with this MacBook Air. All right, cool. So yeah, looking at this weekly time frame, like I said, I want to see them go ahead. I want to see them go ahead and give us a strong move above these highs from, that's the high of May. Yeah, these are the highs of May right here. All right, so as we go lower, all right, I want to see us I want this to be an engulfing in itself, right? So you see these down candles, I want to see something like this. All right, that's what would make me start being a lot more confident that the market is truly ready to go ahead and take us to the upside. But until then, it's just a lot of, I know the past couple of weeks I keep saying, look, you're just gonna have to hop on market on the New York session, and we just have to be adaptable to the markets, because we're in a consolidative period. The markets are ranging. We're literally going back and forth all year long. So we don't want to jump the gun. You feel me? We don't want to jump the gun. We want to be aware of what they got going on. So that is what I'm seeing here, looking at the weekly. What else do I see looking at the weekly here? Let's look at the last month or so. So the last month, what's today? July 2nd. So just looking back to June. All right, June. What's this? June 5th. So we'll go back to that. All right. Yeah, so like I said, looking back the last month or so, the dollar did spike up into a premium, right, of the last month. And if we look at the last 2 months, right, which takes me back to May. All right, we're definitely in a premium over the last 2 months. So that's why I say, man, them being up in these levels, I would not be surprised to see them either consolidate this week or just go ahead and target these wicks down here. Let me go ahead and put a little box around it so I can see it on the lower time frame. So yeah, that's my analysis on dollar. I'm not gonna go no lower than that. Like I said, we just gonna have to see how they play out. Ain't no genie in a bottle. But just be aware we in some premium levels, and when we come into premium levels, I'm paying attention to look for our points of interest, right? We already hit 1 point of interest in this level. That's why we saw them drop like this. They traded up into premium, and inside that premium, they came into this gap, and then they traded away from that gap, right back down to this. I mean, you would call it, we would say that back into this order block or this mitigation candle, right? Wouldn't be surprised to see them climb, from this top of this candle right here, right, from this mitigation candle here. All right, maybe they find some support here, and if we do, the next level that I'll be paying attention to, since this has already been taken, this gap here has already been taken. Next thing that I'm gonna be paying attention to is either an area of mitigation or a order block. So the last up candle was here, right, ish, and then they sold off and dropped down. So that would be, got an order block here that I could pay attention to. Seeing them trade back up into that level. But for right now, let me go ahead and see. Yeah, they ain't trying to trade back. Yeah, so I'm gonna be paying attention to this level right here for them to attack next if we're gonna climb higher. And just looking at that, you can see we got some buy side liquidity here, so I'm gonna pay attention to that. All right, but no real bias this specific week at this very moment. I need to see a little bit more action. But just know we're in between. Well, what's that saying? We're in between a rock and a hard place right now on dollar. Okay, let's go ahead and look at. I'm gonna just look at UCAD since that's what we already looked at. But it's gonna be the same for all of these pairs, just like the same thing I just said off dollar. That's the reason I said we weren't gonna be on here OD long, because just going into this week, as far as I'm concerned, it is definitely a time to be patient and prepared, right? So just do a lot of back testing this week. Be patient. Don't rush into any setups because things are not what they seem right now. You feel me? Things are not what they seem. Looking at UCAD, again, tomorrow is a Canadian holiday, and then Tuesday is a US holiday. So I wouldn't really expect too much out of UCAD. Yeah, UCAD traded up into this premium here, and as they traded up into that premium, they swept a level of liquidity inside that premium. Then they traded back down into this discount, came for this breaker, this mitigation, right? This was that last down candle. Then they went higher, and then they traded right back to that thing on Friday, right? And we saw them close away from it, and they actually look like they gapped this week. Let me wipe this chart. I don't think we need any more stuff on this chart. Let's look at last week's high. Let's do that. Let's peep the action there. Let's peep the way that, oh dang, I did want that that premium and discount though. That thing was perfectly placed. Let me put it back. This was that high. Alright, boom. And then last June here. Alright, so that's the last year. It's like the range of the last year. I'm a higher time frame shawty, man. Higher time frame will always trump for everything else. Just know that. All right, so that's the last year. That was last week's high. Let me go back to the daily. And looking at this daily time frame. Oh, I forgot my monthly candle. Let's check the monthly real quick. Yeah, you see this monthly candle. Feel like on UCAD, I said this on the last market outlook, I feel like this was a nice little sweep below the sell side liquidity from election, right, which was November 2022. And you can see here's that low. They traded below that thing and came up real fast. It's giving sweep vibes, right? So I'm liking the way that this looks for the market to turn around from here. But again, everything is or start gaining some bullishness for bulls to continue to come in. Everything's based on a dollar though. So yeah, we seen that liquidity come in there. This is a sus, right? This is a sus order block. All right, that is a suspect order block because of how long the wick is. You feel me? All right, so it's like I would prefer if the body was, you know, a little bit stronger. So I'm gonna pay attention to this, and this is the same thing I just said about the dollar similarly as well, looking at that higher time frame. So we can take into account that we just wicked sell side liquidity, and then boom, we got an engulfing candle. All right, cool. I'm gonna pay attention to them coming back to the open of this order block. If they trade back down to that on a weekly time frame, I'm gonna pay attention to that. But I'm gonna just be real. Just as ugly as that order block looks and as ugly as the dollar looks, I'm also going to pay attention to these wicks. All right, seeing how they respond coming down into those wicks. And if we go down to the daily now, if we go down into the daily and I'm giving them benefit of the doubt, all right, maybe they do. All right, maybe they do. It's already sus, because if I go down to if we're looking at this daily time frame and we see that the market's closed right here and then they open down there, that does not look balanced. You feel me? And that does not look bullish. Like when I see stuff like that, this look like they definitely sweeping down a little bit lower. But guess what? They came down to this last drop before the buy up, and we just talked about that, right? That's a mitigation, a type of mitigation candle known as a breaker, right? And they came down into it right here. I'm gonna make it a white box, right? They came down into it right there on Friday and then gave strong rejection, but they violated that thing, came all the way down and then traded back up into our premium levels, right? So from there, like I said, after seeing them trade up into this level, similar situation as the dollar, I'm going to pay attention to this last up candle here. I'm gonna use a trend line, right? Which was that the low of May? No, this was the low of May. But I'm gonna pay attention to this one right here. All right, we're gonna pay attention to how this looks when they trade back up into that. All right. May breaker block. Y'all see what we doing right now? This is preparation. I don't got no signals on this call. This is just straight preparation. So yeah, that's what we paying attention to. Those are our points of interest on UCAD. You feel me? So like I said earlier on in the call, similar to a Monday, that first week of the month, I like to pay attention to what the market is signaling, how they setting things up. And yeah, that's all she wrote right now as far as USDCAD goes. And just know this is this is a lot of bullish price action with nothing else in there. It's nice to pay attention to that. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna look at today. We already been live in this thing for 45. So that's my thoughts on this week. Like I said, we want to focus on preparation and patience, and just showing up, tape reading, seeing what in the world is going on. Please like and subscribe if you got value from this today, and share it. It will really help the channel, and we would appreciate it, so that we can continue to deliver value like this. But with that being said, I'm gonna see you guys next Sunday, and if you're in the Traders Guild, I'll see you on the trading floor. Let's get it.